We've got Johnny Lewis on the JL Builders machine. That will be first of our Super Twins, and then you've got Carl Hooper in third place, and he is the first of F3. He's actually the lone F3 rider out there this weekend, but 1, 2 and 3, all three separate different classes, so cool stuff as we see into McKissick Curve for the first time in this 8-lap thriller, brought to us by MTF Finance Timaru. So thank you very much to them for their support over the weekend. At the moment, Benno leading with a good handy little buffer. Johnny Lewis under a bit of pressure. He's got the red hot Carl Hooper riding behind. A good start from Nick Southwood. He's got Kevin Goddard right there as well. So there's a good couple of super twin battles going on. And at the moment, Ben Rosendale well in charge through the bus stop. There's Johnny and Carl inseparable through there in second and third in the race. And Carl going to have a little look up the inside. Not going to be close enough there. And as Johnny shuts the door. So again, some frantic pace out there. Ben Rosendale, the slightly lesser capacity out of all three classes, but just goes to show how dynamic this man is on the Kip Racing machine. He is a former New Zealand Pro Twin champion. And he's loving it at the moment. So let's give you an update of our racing order. We've got Ben Rosendale. Carl Hooper's now up into second place down the back straight ahead of Johnny Lewis. Then go back to Nick Southwood, who's ahead of Kevin Goddard. Then you go back to Luke Ryder, who's the fourth place Super Twin out there. We've got Josh Double, second in class in the Pro Twin outfit. He's there as well. Robbie Edwards, the one out there. There's Phil Munt. So Phil Munt will be third in our Pro Twin lineup, ahead of Lance Double there. So we've got a good field of entry, some quality riders out there, three different classes in one. And Neil, after wrapping up a dynamic Superbike 8-lap, we've got just as much excitement here. 8 laps of this breathtaking stuff as all three classes well represented at the top of the field. And
to talk of those three classes, so there's the old classic called the 650 Pro Twins. That's where the class started all those years ago. And, so many good bikes out of the stable to be used for a long time. F3, of course, been around for a long, long time, although not officially recognised for a number of years. It is back again. It had a name change of Superlight along the way, but we've just called it F3 again. And of course, this new class Super Twin and these beautiful new Aprilia RS 660s that have been added to the lineup. And when you have a look at the engineering of these bikes, they are just absolutely amazing. So pretty cool to see. And although you see them out on the track, there is a little bit of a contrast. So I tell you what, but Ben Rosendale, he defies the language on that, because those bikes are around 10 towards 15 years old now. So an older model motorcycle that is still in the right hands, as Ben is proving, are very competitive. Adding to that, of course, the Super Twin, which is now the new modern bike, and then the old F3 with Carl Hooper on board. His F3 is a little bit like the Jason Easton machine of times gone by, and others have had them as well, which is putting their modern 4-stroke engine inside the old racing frame. Often the Honda RS 250 is, or 125 I should say, is probably more the better frame to have used, and there's been a whole heap of those in New Zealand over years gone by, so easier to make one of those F3 bikes. And Carl has been totally dominant as he smokes him up again. He's moved his way all the way through to the lead, so a 3, then a 2, and now the 1, so the F3 bike's gone all the way. Ben Rosendale still for the second. Johnny Lewis best of the Super. So you got Johnny, you've got Nick, and you've got Kevin. Interesting scenario, of course, is that Kevin Goddard coming up trumps for that group of riders when it came to the qualifying, but here he is back into third place at the moment. So with our Super Twins showing us a better bike over the 650 Pro Twins, it was called for some time. You've got some of those a little bit further back. Interesting scenario, back in 9th place is a man all the way from beautiful Whangarei, Mr. Phil Munt, and Phil actually leading the series because he has been at every round, has accumulated some solid points. So nice to see Munty getting a little bit of prestige out there. But Brad, at the moment, a good mix for all three of them out there. When you got Ben, you got Carl, and you've got Johnny, you got class from top to bottom.
Because one of the first things I thought about when we were coming to levels is how evenly matched all three of these classes would be, because there's no real horsepower advantage around this beautiful South Canterbury metropolis. But Carl Hooper, he's set them alight here at the moment, leading into the bus stop. So the 56 continues to dominate this one here. The only sole entry in F3 this weekend, but nevertheless, he is right there to shine. Benno Rosendale now is under a little bit of pressure because he's got a couple of red-hot Super Twin competitors right in behind. You got Johnny Lewis and Nick Southwood. Nick, impressive last weekend, had some really good pace, and 2 separate off-track excursions couldn't stop him from 2 trips to the podium on the Sunday races. So he is loving his South Island trip here, and he's right on the back wheel of Johnny Lewis. Johnny Lewis is actually unbeaten in that Super Twin class this year. He had 3 wins at Taupo, 3 wins at Manfield, 3 wins including the New Zealand Grand Prix last weekend. So can anyone dethrone him? He's on a 9-race heater in this class, and he's got a red hot Nick Southwood riding behind him, so I reckon we're going to have some fireworks here with about 3.5 laps remaining. Kevin Goddard still there. That will be rounding out the podium. Luke Ryder riding behind him as well. So Luke with some good pace here this weekend. First time ever at level, so really impressive stuff here. Robbie Edwards has got himself up into 7th in the race, which will be 5th in class, with Josh Double, Phil Munt and Lance Double, the Pro Twin boys, 8th, 9th and 10th. But I tell you what, they'll be going absolutely for it here, Neil.
All right, courtesy of MTF Finance, proud to be local, proud to be Timaru at mtf.co.nz. The MTF brand been helping Kiwis out since 1970, and a quality brand associated with our New Zealand Superbike Road Race Championship through many of our regions. They've been sponsoring racing, of course, as they do so much. You know, take the Nelson Richmond team, they're riding behind the Nelson Motorcycle Club, of course, here as well with South Canterbury Motorcycle Club at Timaru. www.mtf Finance Timaru. Locals helping locals out for so long. If you need to get a step ahead, you need the money, you need to go to the ones that are making it count for you. All right, looking at that bike battle going on, and it's still the Carl Hooper blasting out in front. He's already 3.7 on the lead of Ben Rosendale, who leads those 650 Pro Twins within that 4 bike battle. So we've got Johnny, we've got Nick, we've got Kevin, we've got Luke at the moment, and Kevin Goddard, the man who shone through when it came to the qualifier here earlier today, but he's back in 3rd place. Got to play a little bit of the catch-up with the fireworks man and Nick Southwood, and looking out for Mahana's Johnny Lewis to show his real class out there on those kip racing bikes. So beautiful watch, and encourage you to go pit side as well and check out these beautiful Aprilias, because when you see that MT bike, RS, my apologies, the RS model of the Aprilia, the 660, just a brilliant bit of engineering that really has come to party over the long and well-established Suzuki, which Ben Rosendale still takes out there to an empowering 2nd place. Incredible to think of the technology of those bikes, and to see when you put a good pilot on a good bike, you can still get a good 2nd place. But it is Carl smoking them up big time out there in F3 racing. So take the days of Formula 1, Formula 2, these are the Formula 3 for a short time called super light in the class, but you take nothing away from that F3 name. Of course, you put together, in his case, it's a 450cc 4-stroke motorcycle, a single cylinder inside the 125 frame, and that's what of course makes it a Formula bike, because it doesn't have any capacity. Like Mr. Honda didn't make them like this, Mr. Yamaha didn't make them like this, but you can get the Honda frame and put the Yamaha engine inside them and make a real powerhouse of a motorcycle. Well suited, and Carl himself, a super strong rider, came away to me as probably the hero extraordinaire of the Suzuki International Series this year, with his very gallant 3 different class exploits out there, including wins in post-classic, getting as high as a 4th place in 600 Supersport production, and of course this F3 domination as well. Bring it on with Carl Hooper, smoking it. He's loving it out here. This is a Carl Hooper track here today, Brad.
Oh yeah, he's certainly shining here at 108.1. He's the fastest lap. Now, interesting to know, this is the first time we've ever had Super Twins as a class here at level, so we're going to have another lap record in this one here. Who's it going to be? Because an interesting show here. You've got actually the fastest of the 3 out there is Nick Southwood at the moment. No, it's Kevin Goddard, just put a 109.1, and so Kevin Goddard, with 1 lap to go, is provisionally the new lap record holder for Super Twin Racing, as we've got an electric last lap. Carl Hooper's gone, he's streaked away with this one here. You've got Benno Rosendale, the meat and the sandwich. Nick Southwood just pulls up alongside him, the superior horsepower of the RS 660. So now you got Johnny Lewis, then Nick Southwood, then Ben Rosendale, and Kevin Goddard into the left-hander, ready to go here. Now, this is electric racing, and Kevin Goddard looks really quick at the back end of this motor here, Neil, so we're absolutely on. But Carl Hooper certainly has absolutely shone here. He's only a mere few corners away. The lone F3 competitor out there this weekend, but that has not stopped him from really delighting the race fans as he comes into the left-hand chute here. Pit lane straight, very exciting stuff, this man here.
Well, the other, when we say the lone competitor, I do want to point out the fact that our superstar Cormac Buchanan has also done some F3 racing this year. Here we are, Chicken Flag coming up, but of course he's opted to be on the 300, and that's another whole story we'll talk about in the 300 race a little bit later on. So he's not on the F3 bike here today. So there we go, a very tight one, a 1, 2, 3 as they all charged for the line. In fact, it was all 4 of them, so it was Johnny to get in there. So Ben getting gobbled up later in the race. So Johnny Lewis, Nick Southwood, and Kevin Goddard will be our top 3 from the Supers. The Lone Star of Carl Hooper for the F3, and for the Super Twins it was Nick Southwood ahead of Josh Double from Phil Munt.
All right, that wraps up here. MTF Finance supported Formula 3, Pro Twin and Super Twin, those three classes out in one, and it's a win for Carl Hooper. Again, excitement for that young man. Loving every minute of his summer campaign. You got Johnny Lewis there. He will continue the streak, so unbeaten for 10 races in a row now in the Super Twin category. Well done to Johnny Lewis. You got Nick Southerwood and Ben Rosendale. Ben will be the first of our Pro Twins home. Kevin Goddard will come home in fifth, but that will round out our podium for the Super Twins. Luke Ryder comes home in what will be fourth, with Robbie Edwards in fifth, which will be that rounding out of our Super Twin. You go back to Joshua Double, who will come home second of our Pro Twins home, with Phil Munt in third. So yet another podium for Munty. He rolls on nicely with his championship, and Lance Double will bring up top four for Pro Twins. Let's cross down to Neil, who will quickly try and wrap up all three of these podiums. Over to you, Neil.
Well, we're going to take an opportunity again to be at trackside as the crowd comes through and gives us a little bit of a cheer, just making sure we're trying to get audio in the right places that count, with more again of our camera shot on this one. So because they come around, that we can just get them all in there, and we'll get all the guys and girls to come through here nicely at the moment. So with our update, of course, our F3 lineup, Kevin for the third as well. So a good, thank you. Okay, they smoked you on the line that time. Good. But one, top job. Like today? No. We get all the kids up here. For that.
I heard Nick coming and it had 0.1 on it, so I was trying to square everything off, make it as big as I could. So that was fantastic. It was good fun, man.
Good race.
Johnny, and I'm going to try and get.
Got to keep trying, don't you? Thank you. Yeah, Carl, have you up here, matey? So we'll put them right there. It's not that the others have defaulted today. First of all, on that little bike, people's like on that bike today.
Tell you what, it's pretty bumpy. It's good though, not technical. It's, you know, it's what it's made for. And
thank you very much, Carl. Around again. You held them out. You fought to surrender.